What is up, YouTube? This is T-Quint1 coming at you with my video. Today I'm going to be talking about Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Star Wars is, in my opinion, the greatest film trilogy of all time. It's the original trilogy. The prequels, and we'll talk about those later. But when I sat down today to watch A New Hope, I tried to look at it objectively. Just how good is the film, nostalgia aside? And honestly, I still think it's a fantastic movie. Now, something you may or may not know about me is I love me some sci-fi. It's my bread and butter. And this is everything a great sci-fi needs. It's got cool technology, some pretty creative designs for all the creatures, and a really fully developed and interesting world. But the most important thing for any film, regardless of genre, is the human story at the center, and Star Wars has that in spades with some of the greatest characters of all time. I love Luke Skywalker so much. For pretty much the same reason I love Superman. He's a kind and compassionate character with still enough vulnerability to make him interesting. But on the other side of the spectrum, I also love a good scoundrel, and Han Solo is one of my favorite characters of all time as well. Harrison Ford is one of the most charismatic actors I think who ever lived, and he brings all of that character of Han Solo. His scoundrel personality is absurdly likable, and most of the best lines in the movie come from him. And even Princess Leia, who I think gets kind of sidestepped a lot. A lot of people don't give her enough credit. I think she's a really great and feisty character. One person I really wanted to talk about, though, is Alec Guinness, because he brings a real weight and importance to the character of Obi-Wan. Now, this could have just been your typical wise old man, and in some ways he is, but just Alec Guinness makes everything he says feel so important, and you just listen to everything he says. And even he could talk about like how to make a sandwich, and it'd be fucking legit with Alec Guinness reading it. He just has that air about him of class. And Chewie and the droids as well are a lot of fun. They provide some great comedy, and none of it feels unnatural, to be honest. It never felt out of place. Also, one of the things I love about this film, ever since I was a little kid, is it's really in a lived-in and gritty feeling to the world. Not everything is shiny and new like so many other sci-fis, and that really adds so much to the environments of this film. It creates a great atmosphere. I mean, half the movie is on this arid desert planet, but it works. And also, I just want to say this is the greatest soundtrack, bar none. John Williams is the single greatest composer who has ever lived. Everything he does is absolutely fantastic, and Star Wars, I think, is his magnum opus. For all the films, really, even the prequels. But this film is great, and every time I hear Binary Sunset, I just get chills, the Force theme, or whatever you want to call it. Now, there's also some great fast-paced and well-done action scenes. Particular highlights with me include when the Millennium Falcon fights off a couple of TIE fighters. I love that scene and how it's drawn from some dogfights from a couple World War II footage. And I really like the confrontation between Vader and Obi-Wan. Now, this isn't like overly choreographed and the moves aren't like all that special, but it's the emotion behind it. And I think it's really impressive that you feel that emotion, even though these characters' histories are only hinted at. You don't see any other scenes with them together, but you still feel the weight of their confrontation. Speaking of Vader, he is one of the best villains in cinematic history. He's extremely menacing and mysterious, with both the physically imposing David Prowse wearing the suit and the voice of James Earl Jones. That is a match made in heaven, and it just kicks so much ass whenever he's on screen. But I do have to go into some of the flaws. One of them really isn't necessarily the fault of the film originally, but I mean, I gotta go into the DVDs I have, and that's the special editions just clutter so much of the frames up with nonsense. And while it doesn't lessen the great story of the film, it detracts from the enjoyment a little bit. And also, this is just chapter one. We don't get everything answered. There's not as much resolution. But we still get enough, I think, to satisfy us, and it could have worked as a standalone film, but I'm so glad we got more. Now, you might think I'm going to give this movie a 10, and you'd be fucking right. I'm giving this movie a 10. I love this film so much ever since I was a kid. Giving it anything less than a 10 would honestly feel sacrilegious. This is T-Quint1, signing out.